Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, and we have Zepsi back this week. Both of us do some contract work for the HBAR Foundation, but we aren't doing these weekly updates in any official capacity. We're just coming to you personally to give you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. Welcome back, Zep.
How's it going, Brandon?
It's going really good. We have a lot to cover this week, but as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So, like I said, we have tons to cover this week. We have some news around credit unions, or a credit union that's going to be coming to fruition that is going to allow for banking services within the Hedera ecosystem, which of course is very important considering we are living in a time of things like Operation Choke Point 2.0. We have a lot of news around gaming this week. We have the DeRec Alliance expanding, and we crossed a really important milestone with 50 billion transactions processed on the Hedera network. But to start off, I'm going to focus on decentralized physical infrastructure. So I had a conversation, a space with the Cardano influencer that was kind of at the center of the BlackRock tokenization controversy. And one of the things that I was highlighting, even though the BlackRock news is huge, building that infrastructure in a compliant way to allow Larry Fink's vision of, the next stage of financial markets to be tokenization, that is absolutely huge news. But we have all kinds of other stuff going on in the Hedera ecosystem that is just as big. I highlighted blockchain for energy with Chevron and Exxon and Schlumberger, Saudi Aramco, and so on. We have EDF doing 3 different projects on Hedera. Some of that is in the DePIN space. I highlighted Atma.io. I highlighted Mondelez. One of the things that I didn't get to when I was initially talking about all these great things that are happening within the Hedera ecosystem was WiseKey. Eventually, I did get to it because somebody asked about SpaceX and some of the connections between SpaceX and Hedera, but I didn't initially get to it. This week, we saw a story that gave us some additional news around this. Now, the CEO of WiseKey talked about how they are going to be launching this Sealcoin, but I didn't know there was a separate company around it, and there was just a lot of good information in this story that was highlighted on Yahoo Finance. So let's dig into it. So it starts off by saying that SealSQ Corp is a leader in semiconductor, PKI, and post-quantum technology development, and that they announced that in partnership with the Hashgraph Association, a Swiss-based organization at the forefront of global digital enablement, have launched a new digital asset built on the Hedera network that caters to the decentralized physical infrastructure DePIN sector by enabling billions of internet-connected devices to autonomously engage in seamless data and currency exchanges. And all this is done because WiseKey's subsidiary, WiseSat, has 19 Pico satellites already in orbit, launched by SpaceX, though it sounds like they have their own launching capabilities at this point. Now, these satellites are designed to communicate with Internet of Things devices on the ground. The article goes on to say, under the umbrella of transactional Internet of Things, so we have a new moniker, Sealcoin is a hybrid payment and utility token for enabling billions of Internet-connected devices to autonomously engage in seamless data and digital asset exchanges. For example, IoT devices from various companies can now interact and access a range of services as well as transactions. This could include smart home devices where Sealcoin could facilitate seamless payment for services like energy consumption, maintenance, and other services without human intervention. The list of applications goes on to include supply chain management, autonomous vehicles, smart cities, energy trading, and more. Now, I want to give a huge shout out to longtime HBARbarian Jerry for highlighting this announcement to the community. So that with these companies, we have teams with the drive. Obviously, they have the resources and the vision to make something that was really only a dream in the crypto space, in the IoT space, actually have that come to fruition. This should really be one of the biggest stories in crypto. And of course, this infrastructure, just like the financial markets infrastructure created with Archax that could completely revolutionize the financial industry, we have the same kind of infrastructure being built only here in the DePIN and the Internet of Things space. Again, this should really be a huge story, not just in crypto, but even more broadly than that in the entire tech sector. But I was really impressed with what I saw here. Zep, before we move on, do you have any thoughts around what we heard come out of Sealcoin and WiseKey?
Yeah, I think beyond what we could anticipate is a very highly scalable use case in terms of that Internet of Things infrastructure. I think what it really shows to me is that Hedera is again in a very, very different position this bull market than it was last bull market. Last bull run, we didn't have DeFi, we didn't have NFTs, at the same time that everyone else did. And so we missed out on these two big crazes, and, we weren't the talk of the town for those very reasons. This time round, the major narratives that are being picked up by the media, at least at the moment, are around DePIN, around real world assets, around stablecoins, around institutions, and AI. As we can see, we tick the majority of those boxes. And again, this is another DePIN box for us to tick. So now not only do we have Neuron, which is a highly anticipated DePIN network on Hedera, we also have Fliggs Mobile under the subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom or T-Mobile. And now we also have Sealcoin as well as, QuickPick as well. So we have 4 very strong use cases within that field that I think if we see them coming to production, launching their tokens, really coming on mainnet, getting that press that they deserve through action on mainnet, I think we're going to have a really, really exciting time plugging into that narrative in the same way that we've seen with real world assets over the last couple of months.
Yeah, Zep, those are some great points. I'm going to get James on next week from Neuron to give us an update on exactly what they're doing. But I want to shift gears here a little bit. We're going to get into the DeRec Alliance. We've had it expand pretty significantly with some pretty impressive names this week. Can you give us the inside track on that?
Yeah, so the DeRec Alliance is the invention of Dr. Lehman Baird, former co-founder, or rather the co-founder of Hedera, and now has moved over as the CTO at Swirls. He created this decentralized recovery solution to solve one of the biggest pain points in Web3 for mass user adoption, which is the self-custody of keys. Time and time and time again, we hear people lose access to the value inside of their wallets because they either misplace or misrepresent their keys when writing them down in the first place. In order for this industry to become mainstream, as Lehman has said on record many a time, it has to be easy enough from a UX perspective for your grandmother to use it. It has to be like logging into Windows or Mac or iOS, whatever it is. It can't have a 24-digit code that you have to put down and ruthlessly guard and protect in the event of, it could even be a natural disaster that you're trying to ward off at this point. There's just too many pain points for something like that to go wrong, to get locked out of your account. And so through DeRec, Lehman is creating has created a chain agnostic standard for what will hopefully be all of the Web3 ecosystem to unite around to implement, so that this pain point of user experience by crypto wallet access is really removed. And so originally it was Algorand, or the Algorand Foundation, and as well as Swirls Labs. That was the founding 2 members. Whereas this week we had one of the behemoths of the industry, Ripple, who've been around here, for as long as anyone can remember, since the very start, as well as Constellation DAG and Casper, and some great teams in the ecosystem like Bank Social, Blade Labs, and so on. So really already we're seeing this, alliance scale. In order for it to reach, I think, a full momentum, that inflection point, I reckon we're going to need a Solana or a Cardano or an Avalanche. But it seems to me that this Ripple could be that next big domino to sort of achieve that end goal. I think it was Algorand was a great first one. That's gone into Ripple. And then I'd like to see another big one out of, the top 20 come in. And then for that to be, the light bulb moment for the whole industry. But all things considered, it's going very well so far in terms of the buy-in from some great networks. I really, really hope that we see Lehman take that frontal central view of his invention, and that he gets that the accredited, he becomes accredited for that. We saw in the block press release that came out, the exclusive one, that he did get that mention, of course, as the creator. So yeah, I hope that's the momentum that we keep going as this thing becomes adopted.
Oh, it just shows that not only is Lehman a thought leader on the consensus layer, but he's also a thought leader in some of the things that are going to allow us to bring these things to mass market. All right, so I'm going to take a hard left turn here. We're going to get into gaming. We do have some exciting developments in the gaming space. One team that we've mentioned many times, but we haven't really been able to dig into, is Nada. They're responsible for Slimeworld, which is one of the most successful games we've seen in the Hedera ecosystem. Now, Zeb, one of the reasons why we haven't been able to cover them as much as we might have liked is because there was a bit of a language barrier. They are a South Korean team, but they have brought on a new team member. Their new CMO, Kimmy, speaks English very well, and she gave us all the information we could want around where they are and where they're going. So let's check that one out. Kimmy, to kick this off, can you tell us about the story behind Nada Digital and Slimeworld?
Nada and Slimeworld are the embodiment of our team's creative vision to create characters and a universe that resonate with our audience and reflect our brand values of resilience, optimism, innovation, and exploration. Nada Protocol was initiated by blockchain experts in 2021. In the era of Web3, where individuals' activities on the web generates valuable data, we aim to build a place that integrates blockchain technology to provide fair and transparent rewards for the data provided. Our first launch service is a blockchain P2E or play to earn game called Slimeworld. Designed for easy access by users, the game offers entertainment and rewards based on mining activities through completing quests in the very simple app form. In the first half of 2022, Slimeworld was launched during a booming period in the blockchain industry with many similar P2E games being launched. We focus on the defense type Infinity mode where players protected slime characters and clear stages. The result was achieving over 500,000 global user downloads in no time, garnering positive responses. A game which utilizes blockchain but simplifies the process of mining, the token monetization, quickly gathered a large user base as we envisioned. In the later half of 2022, we introduced the Slime NFTs issued directly by Nada, launching an arena mode where users strategically combine NFTs of characters with different abilities to battle with each other. The minting of Slime NFTs, which were sold out actually, was attributed to the fact that they were not just collectible NFTs, but strategically powerful ones. In response to such user engagement, we introduced a system in arena mode where users who achieved top rankings during a certain period receive Nada tokens as prizes. In 2023, moving on, despite the unfavorable blockchain market conditions, we maintained steady updates and introduced a major update in December 23, unveiling the renewed version of Slimeworld. While there were various changes, the most significant one was the transformation of Slime NFTs. We divided the existing 4-tier grading to 5 tiers and allowed even a lower tier NFT's character to level up through accumulating experience points, enabling them to yield higher tier efficiency. As a result, we not only improve accessibility for existing users, but also for new users, and receiving a positive review. Slimeworld offers players a unique gaming experience with its captivating storyline, interactive gameplay, vibrant visuals. From exploring new worlds to overcoming challenges, players are invited to join Nada and Slimeworld for an unforgettable journey.
That's fantastic. So, why did you choose Hedera? And I know you've touched on this a little bit, but if you want to go into any more depth of how you leverage the network to enhance your games in any further detail, we'd appreciate it.
Oh, we do have a lot of details. Talk about Hedera, of course. Choosing Hedera was a strategic decision, driven by a commitment to scalability, security, and sustainability. Hedera's innovative blockchain technology aligns perfectly with our vision for Nada Protocol and Slimeworld. We chose Hedera for its robustness, scalability, and eco-friendly approach. Leveraging Hedera allows us to enhance our products by ensuring fast transactions, low fees, and secure data integrity. By integrating Hedera's network, we can provide our users with a seamless and reliable experience while maintaining transparency and decentralization. This enhances the gaming experience and strengthens the security of our platform. As every piece of data holds value, our project generates significantly more transactions than others, requiring a blockchain technology solution to handle the vast amount of data that needs to be processed concurrently in a short period. In the case of Hedera, it's a unique distributed ledger mechanism allows for independently blockchainizing over 10,000 transactions per second, making it exceptionally appealing. Witnessing its stable utilization by partners such as Google, as well as known as Korean entities like LG and Shinhan Bank, we reached out and with the assistance of Hedera Foundation, we were able to smoothly launch the Nada token. Additionally, through the collaboration with Hedera's official third-party app, the Blade Wallet, we established a system where the necessary fees for token associations and the fees incurred by NADA token transactions within the Blade wallet are covered by our foundation, making it easier for users to experience Hedera Chain. Its collaboration has enabled us to acquire a substantial user base as well. Looking ahead, we plan to further leverage Hedera's network to introduce new features, enhance user engagement, expand our ecosystem. We're excited about the possibilities that Hedera offers and committed to maximizing its potential for benefit for our users. I'd also like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to Hedera Foundation and the Blade Wallet team. Thank you for giving us such amazing system and ecosystem and amazing tool for us to use and for users to experience as well.
Well, let me extend our thanks in the Hedera ecosystem for deciding to build on Hedera. One thing, going back to your NFTs and your fungible tokens, I've noticed that they are some of the most transacted tokens in the entire Hedera ecosystem. Can you talk about the traction you and your games have gained in the region to this point and your plans to continue that growth into the future?
I believe that 2024 will be a very significant year for Nada Protocol, as so much for other projects as well. First and foremost, we plan to continue updating Slimeworld. This month, we will introduce the new Blade Wallet SDK into the Slimeworld in-app experience. This will allow users to easily experience Nada token deposits, withdrawals, purchases, and swaps within the games without the need for separate third-party app integration simply by installing the game. Through such SDK development efforts, we will be able to incorporate easier mining systems into future game applications and other content services that include additional games and blockchain technology. At Nada Protocol, we are planning to develop and publish additional P2E games leveraging the success we've achieved with Slimeworld. Our entire team at Nada is working hard to expedite the launch, so please stay tuned. In addition to the service updates, Nada Protocol has achieved significant milestones in expanding the Nada token ecosystem. Since the late last year, we have been listed on the major global exchanges among Hedera token projects. We have been listed on the most exchanges. We are planning to continue additional listings to enhance the convenience of trading for global users. As not all exchanges support Hedera token listings, we hope for continued support from the Hedera Foundation. Having participated as sponsors in the 2024 Blockchain Week in Dubai last month, where we have met many buyers and shared potential of the Nada token, we anticipate many positive developments in the future, as well as a future partnership and strong engagement, and hopefully more global users worldwide as well.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to get more engagement. I've been really impressed with all the success you've had to this point. Kimmy, thanks for coming on and telling us about your Hedera journey, and we hope to have you back soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day, you guys. Thank you.
So Zep, now with Kimmy on their team, I think we're going to be able to keep much more up to date on all the developments happening over there at Nada with Slimeworld and the other games that they have going out. Sticking with the gaming space, I do want to talk about Shibar. So that is one of the oldest or the oldest meme coin on the Hedera network. And they did just come out with a coin flip game that allows you to use your Shibar, this meme coin, to possibly get more Shibar or maybe less. But it looks like it might be fun. So certainly go and check that out. So Zep, another team on the level of Nada or Lithos, a big gaming studio that we have that's starting to build within the Hedera ecosystem, is Circle of Games. And they had an important milestone and they had some additional news come out this week. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, so in the 3 months that they migrated from the chain before onto Hedera, they have achieved over 100,000 new accounts on mainnet. This is for multiple reasons. I think they're a very strong team that was in Web 2 before. You know, they came over from Play Simple, Zynga, Jungly, Gamesbury Labs, and so on. You know, they were the team behind Mafia Wars. They're the team behind Farmville 1 and 2. In short, they've got a really, really great pedigree of understanding exactly how a viral mobile or casual game should work. When you combine that with their Web3 partnerships, that's with Nazara.com, who's actually the largest gaming platform, or the largest gaming company rather, in India, as well as their partnership with Shingari, which is India's #1 social app with over 200 million users. So when you combine the network effects of, I think, those two partnerships with the fact they're on Hedera, they've got the cost efficiencies of Hedera, and then they're also going to be splitting their token on Hedera and Solana, it seems like they've got a lot of, users to pick up, a lot of mindshare to pick up via that. So they're a team that I'm really excited about. They've got their token launch in the future. To be fully transparent, I'm investing in that company, and I will be following them very, very closely as they move forwards.
And Zeb, I invested in Circle of Games as well, so I'm excited to see what they come out with. We're going to take a little bit of a left turn here. Again, we're going to get into interoperability because we had some important news come out from the HBAR Foundation around Axelar. Can you give us an update on that one as well?
So what I really like about Axelar is it's our next venture outside of our own ecosystem to integrate with other networks, their users, and their liquidity. At the very core of every single decentralized finance ecosystem within Web3 are the bridges. In order for someone who's on one network, say Solana, to test out another network, say Base, they don't want to have to go through centralized exchanges. They want to take a small amount of their value on one chain and seamlessly transfer it over so that it can experiment with another ecosystem. Currently, this isn't as frictionless as it should be, and we need more bridges, more interoperability solutions. One of these is Axelar. And what I really find exciting about Axelar is it's not just a DeFi focused platform, but it's also about centralized finance and bringing in the TradFi solutions into Web3 and enabling them to speak across chains. One of the greatest examples of this was a proof of concept they did with Onyx by JP Morgan via the MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So I'm going to read this verbatim. Axelar has collaborated with Onyx by JP Morgan and Apollo on a successful experiment showing how smart contracts could be used to manage client portfolios at scale. In the proof of concept, blockchain technology was used to execute trades and enable automated portfolio management of tokenized financial assets, aka real-world assets. The proof of concept solution demonstrated a method for managers to compose portfolios using tokenized funds on the blockchain of their choosing, purchasing and rebalancing positions in tokenized assets across multiple interconnected blockchains. Axelar delivers interoperable cross-chain infrastructure connecting over 60 blockchains and now is an emerging leader connecting the world's largest centralized finance and decentralized finance institutions. Since mainnet in 2022, Axelar has transferred over $6 billion in value cross-chain via a secure programmable network. So all of this is to say they have very strong alignments with Hedera on that real-world asset side of things. Of course, we've got Arcax, the first FCA digital regulated asset exchange, which has tokenized both a portion of both the BlackRock MMF, as well as the Aberdeen Sterling Fund. There's very close alignment between our objectives and Axelar's objectives, and I really think this is a interoperability solution whereby we're not just being integrated, but we're working very closely along their team as the first cohort of pilots for a new product offering of their own. So they've got great connections, we've got great connections, we've got a great shared vision, and I really believe this is an interoperability solution that will highly benefit the vision of the Hedera network.
Yeah, the interoperability is going to be invaluable for our ecosystem to join the likes of Hashport. I like that we're going to have some competition in that space. I'm excited to see what we're going to see come out of Axelar. Hopefully, we're going to get a space together with them next week to get some more details. Zeb, it's impressive how many different industries Hedera is impacting. One of those, of course, is telco, and we caught up with Alex from Fliggs a few weeks ago to explain their vision. Now, they do have a promotion that's coming up that I'm going to try to get involved with, and I suggest everybody else do the same. And to just explain what that is real quick, we all have an opportunity to get 50% off on a Fliggs mobile subscription for life. All you need to do is go to fliggsmobile.com, click on the join now and sign up. Then when the mobile app is available in your area, you can use the same email when enabling the app. You'll receive a soulbound DGen NFT, which will serve as a badge to receive VIP benefits, including that 50% off mobile subscription for life. Now, remember, the Fliggs rollout will be methodical, so you might not get the app in your area for a while, but at least you could sign up for it now. So, Zeb, I'm going to change gears. We're going to get into that credit union news. We're going to talk about DeFy Federal Credit Union. We had two people come on this week. We had John from Bank Social, which we've talked to several times in the past, but we also caught up with James, who is going to be really integral in bringing this to fruition in several months. He is the CEO of Connect's Federal Credit Union. So let's listen to what they had to say. James, welcome. John, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to become part of this community, and look forward to lots and lots of conversation and work together in the future.
And thank you for having me back, Brandon. Love it. Always love talking with you.
Oh, yeah, these are fun ones. All right, so John, we're going to start with you. Can you tell us why you wanted to create DeFi Credit Union and what you're trying to accomplish with it?
Yep. So DeFi is how I know we say DeFi, but DeFi, we want to make a little bit of a difference there, difference in how we say it. Yeah, keep it brief. A couple years back, we wanted to take the route of regulated in every way. That's why we created the BSL DAO LLC in Wyoming, and we did business loans as opposed to just everything kind of loans out the gate, because we wanted to do things in as regulated of a way as we could every step of the way. And so as we were looking around the world for a regulated place to continue to grow the kind of member-owned banking model, we found really it's cooperatives around the world, but really it's the American credit unions that kind of are a pinnacle, a leader in really just cooperative finance around the world. I think a couple other countries maybe have more robust, but America certainly leads the pack. And so was fortunate to meet Becky very early on, Becky Reed. She's a former CEO of James, and I actually both know her, kind of a mutual connection. You know, she ended up joining Bank Social very early on. And as we continue to get through these next iterations of what we could really do, we started building upon what a future member-owned banking institution like a credit union can really be. And as we started, bringing things like Secura to the table, where we're utilizing the credit union infrastructure, the people helping people component, to do the whole key security, Bank Social with the lending, and Rivia with the payments tokens, all those, our verified product with the identity, so allowing members to kind of go from bank to bank, product to product, use case to use case. We ran across James. We explained to him our vision and what we were working on, and just by happenstance, we were having dinner after this was like our fourth or fifth meeting, right, James? In a matter of 2 weeks, it just happened so fast that he said he wanted to create a digital sub brand within his credit union, and we said, well, we've got this approved field of membership. How does that sound? And he said, that sounds like you should come up and meet with me and my board in a couple days. And so we did, and that's where we are.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. James, as the CEO of Connects Federal Credit Union, you've taken on an important part in the vision that John just kind of outlined. Can you explain how your institution is involved and where we stand right now?
Yeah, it goes a little bit beyond just my institution. It goes really to the philosophy of credit unions. And I've been in the credit union business for 25 years. Credit unions have, in the past, been on the forefront of technology. We slowed down a little bit as an industry. I see this as an opportunity for us to get back to the forefront of technology and really start serving what, from my perspective, is an emerging and important community to serve. And so there's a lot of continuity for the credit union space, in that we do the same things that the Web3 community with open banking and member-owned businesses that the Web3 community is doing. We've been doing it since the late 1800s, early 1900s, bringing that to consumers in a totally different way. The phrase that I've heard John and Becky use is analog. So you think about that from an analog perspective. This is digitizing it. So when you think about trying to bring the credit union movement forward, and it connects what we really want to do is be an extension of our community. How do we serve our community in a broader and more productive way? And part of that is working with John and Bank Social to figure out ways to bring this new technology forward, bring this new community forward, and give them an opportunity to have service that they might not have otherwise. And then hopefully we can be a leader to move that forward throughout all of the credit unions in America, and really make this something that takes our entire industry forward and connects with this new community and just bring continuity together. That's really what we're hoping to do.
Well, before there was even a public network in Hedera, Hashgraph was used by the credit unions and piloted by the credit unions early on. John certainly knows about that. He talked about it last week. But John, let's really dig into the Hedera aspect here. Why is this important for the Hedera ecosystem and the broader Web3 space in general?
So, creating this member-owned, Web3 is about ownership, right? We've gone through the first two iterations of the web, and Web 1, read, Web 2, read, write, and now we're in the ownership economy. And with this transition to the ownership economy, we need regulated institutions, we need a regulated framework that will allow us to bring the ownership economy, because it's really about people. Like, this next iteration of the web is removing as many of the middlemen, getting those costs lowered. And really, when you look at what the fundamental layer of this all is, it's finance. It's the fundamental layer of all of it. I know we're going to build tons of cool use cases on top of the fundamental layer. The fundamental layer, though, is finance. And when you look at the ownership Web3 model, and you look at, to James' point, the credit union model, and it being member owned and it being nonprofit, that's another huge component of this. Credit unions are non-profit. And so when you look at the whole ecosystem, and then you layer in, you ask the question about why Hedera. Well, when you look at these regulated institutions and building components, so we're not saying that every single piece of this is going to be built on Hedera. There will be a lot of it built on Hedera, right? But when you talk about where that can live from a regulated institutional standpoint, it can't be Bitcoin, because you don't know who nodes, miners, all those things are. It's going to be very hard to do it on another chain where it's stake pools, but you don't know who the stakers are. And then you have all the other things, right? So Hedera solved that with the council. That's a major part of this. When we go in and we talk to credit unions and we say, here's how we're incorporating the public decentralized ledger into it, the council becomes a critical factor in that equation, in that conversation. And then when we look at all the other components, the guaranteed cost, right? Predictable cost. Let's not even call it guaranteed. We know there's a mechanism for burstable transaction fees. And so when we talk about this instant finality, no front running, when we talk about all these types of things, you really can't, there is no other place for that to live. And when we look at like the CFPB, so the consumer protection in America, Rohit Chopra, he's the director, when he says things, and I quote, open and decentralized is how the open banking movement is going to go. It's very hard to see that happening any place except for member-owned banking institutions, because how are you going to get an open, collaborative, decentralized for the people to where they own their data, they own their funds, they own their financial future? You remove middlemen. There's really no other way to do it than with DLT. And there's really no way to get in with credit unions and financial institutions and talk with them than by having the council, by having that kind of enterprise level, enterprise grade distributed ledger that can facilitate the majority of what we're talking about. And that's why we chose Hedera.
So the next question I have is, banking services have been a real pain point for the entire crypto industry, and this almost sounds too good to be true. I've had people come to me and say, there's no way the credit unions will do something like this. They've been too surprised by some of the stuff that you're trying to announce here. Why does it appear easier within the credit union industry compared to the traditional banking industry?
I would say that it comes down to one big thing. Certainly there are many things contributing to that, but probably the biggest thing is that the NCUA is the only regulator that's come out with guidance around DLT. Actually, they were coming up with some guidance back in early 2021 that said blockchain. And I talked with them, and a couple other people talked with them, and we turned it into distributed ledger guidance. So it more generally encompassed a broader range of tools than just blockchains specifically. And they came out with regulatory guidance. And they're the only regulator in the United States that has come out with clear guidance around being able to, because at the end of the day, it's a database, right? It's not advocating for Bitcoin. It's not advocating for cryptocurrencies. It's advocating for the use of distributed ledger technologies and the functions and mechanisms that they utilize to, just like you have to go buy Oracle Well, you have to pay for transactions. There's cloud space. You have to pay for it, right? So it's generally saying that if you do your due diligence as a credit union versus other regulators in the United States have taken more of a mother may I approach to this. And we'll be up with the council this week. Actually, Kyle, one of the vice chairman of the NCUA, is going to be talking to council members this next week or this week rather. We've got a real great panel that he's going to be discussing this exact thing. And so I would say that that's probably the big, and this is not, don't trust me, go out and read NCUA, distributed ledger, DLT guidance. It exists. It's not a figment of my imagination. It's actually something that exists.
All right, that's exciting to hear. So, James, what are some of the next steps and your expected roadmap for the future?
Yeah, I think, when I think about this, the word that I keep hearing John say is regulation, right? Regulation, NCUA. So, when you look at the credit union industry, I met one of our members, Brandon, that was 86 years young. She's a wonderful woman. So we've got that segment of our marketplace, right, that exists inside the credit union space. We don't want to ignore or forget those people, but we want to bring along this new space too, and we want to do it in a way that is well regulated, which gives the security to the entire footprint of the membership. The people who don't understand it and the people who are craving it, everybody understands, this is a safe place to be. And so to do that, you've got to take that in segments. So we got to go through the regulatory requirements to make sure that we're aligned. That meaning DeFi or DeFi, as John calls it, and connects so that we don't misstep anything, right? So the first steps are getting that regulatory piece taken care of. That's probably the bulk of the front end work. John and his group are going to help a lot with the technology, right? And then what Connects does from our perspective is we kind of bring it to life and bring this thing online and make it available to people in a way that NCUA is like, okay, good. You've got your structure in place. You've got the technology in place. And now we can open the doors to start serving people. And what we'll try to do there is do that a little bit at a time so that we don't overload the system, right? So we'll start doing it a little bit at a time so that we make sure that great service that credit union members have been getting for over a century is exactly what we bring this new community, right? And so they're not just going to get this, we've got this open banking, member-owned banking system that's available to us. They'll get that, but they're going to get the fantastic service that credit unions have given for over a century as well. So they get all of that. So it's your cake and you get to eat it too, kind of. So we're going to go slow to go fast. But the first step is to get the regulatory stuff done. Once we get that done, then we're rocking and rolling, and we're going to move as fast as the pace will allow us to. So if I were to give a timeline, I would say, we're certainly going to have this live, I would think, John, sometime before the end of this year is certainly the target for that.
Yeah, I think what we looked at was based on what we'd done with the NCUA to this point. So we already have the approved field of membership. So just to get a little more technical, we've already got the NCUA pre-charter approved field of membership. So they've already stamped that. They've put, it's on their letterhead, and that's what we're giving to James. So he's engaged with a former regulator that is helping us the final work of converting our approved charter into his already approved. Well, let me take that back. Our pre-charter of our membership. So Block Advocates is our field of membership. So you become a member of Block Advocates, you become a member of DeFi Federal Credit Union. We were trying to get those last few pieces of getting a charter. James already has a charter. We're giving him our approved NCUA field of membership that's already approved. And James is going to convert his credit union to use our approved field of membership. And those are the final, just to make sure everything's tied off, regulatory pieces are tied off. But really, there's no new credit union to approve here. That's the important part. James's credit union is already approved. He's adding the approved field of membership to his credit union. And I think that our goal is by the end of the year to be fully operational, and within, call it 90 to 120 days to start leaking in those first handfuls of people. Like James says, we want to move slow so we can get everything nice and boxed up. If you know anything, Brandon, you watched us. We're very quiet. We build until it's ready to go. And so this will be something that probably the next 90 days, we maybe talk about a little bit, and then we'll start letting people in in trickle bunches. I think what we said was like 50 to 100 people at a time. To James's point, because we're doing something so revolutionary, evolutionary, we want to ensure that the experience is fantastic. Right? We don't want something where a lot of people are having problems, and we're going to have problems, and we know that, but that's why we want to kind of take the Google approach, the Gmail approach, where they did it to where they let in people. And we've got some cool ways that we're thinking about doing that, where maybe inviting some of your friends will get you closer to the top of the list. And so we're going to kind of gamify the onboarding experience a little bit.
Well, gentlemen, I know that having these banking services is going to be invaluable for all the businesses that are trying to build in our space. Thank you so much for coming on today and explaining DeFi Federal Credit Union. Thank you for building on Hedera, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So Zeb, also connected with Bank Social is the BSL token. We've talked about that several times in the past, and they do have an HBAR weighted airdrop that's going to be coming up in a few weeks. You just have to hold HBAR. You need to associate their token, and you'll get bonuses if you have their NFT, which of course just went on sale a few days ago, and some of that BSL token already in your wallet. And also good news around HBAR weighted airdrops. One of the pain points was for people that were trying to store their HBAR in the Ledger hardware wallets. And we just found out that there's going to be a new upgrade, 1.4.2, for the Ledger Hedera app that's going to allow you to associate HTS tokens and also stake. Hashpack is in the process right now of integrating that into their applications. So of course, this is going to allow all of our Ledger users to get access to these HBAR weighted airdrops. We appreciate all the teams that are participating in this, and I'm talking to several other teams that are interested in doing HBAR weighted airdrops, bringing value to HBAR holders. The last thing I want to get into before we get into network analysis is on iOS devices. If you pull up their keyboard and you long hold either the capital H, you'll get the double bar H. If you long hold the lowercase h, you'll get the HBAR symbol. So it was just fun to see this, and I know it's going to come in handy to a lot of the HBAR variants out there. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into some network analysis. Transaction volume has dropped off a little, and we're currently hovering around 1,600 transactions per second. We have processed just under 1 billion transactions this week and had an impressive spike to just about 7,000 TPS. As I mentioned, we also crossed a major milestone of having processed over 50 billion transactions on the Hedera network to this point. All this, and we're still maintaining a time to consensus finality of about 3.5 seconds. We've also created about 64,000 accounts this week. And looking at our fungible tokens, Wrapped HBAR, Dovu, Sauce, Native USDC, and Karate Combat's Karate token take the top 5 spots. Next up, we have Energy Trade Token and Jam. The one that doesn't have a name on here is actually Claybar, and I'm not familiar with that one, so we're going to have to get some more information. Next up, we have Bridged USDC and the Peacock coin to round out the top 10. Moving on to NFTs in dominant fashion, the Road Code Access card took the top spot. Talking to Alex Russman of the HBAR Foundation Consumer Engagement Fund, the team behind Road Code is doing very well, and they have a lot coming up in the future. Bank Social's Secura NFT came up next, followed by Saucer Swap's Liquidity Token. Next up, we have a couple Lithos Rant CPU NFTs, the Earthlings Airdrop Bag Holder NFT, the Times, the .hbar domain, Doctor Who Worlds Apart, and finally, Peculiar Peeps makes it into the top 10. So Zep, and I'd like to reiterate that the Bank Social NFTs that are associated with some of their services, including their modified DeRec service, they had a really good launch this week that include their Secura NFT. Is there anything else you'd like to cover in the NFT space?
Yeah, so I saw Credible Crypto, who's one of our largest influencers on Hedera, but also a massive voice, within the industry itself. He came out saying that he'd actually picked up new NFT from someone called Fatty Mania HBAR from his own collection, which can be found on secondaries like Centex. He then went on to say he's also a big fan of HBAR NFT market leaders like Dead Pixels and Hungry Barboons. And for anyone looking for a low-cost entry into Hedera NFT scene, Fatty Mania's collection could be the one for you. So really great to see him supporting not only Hedera and HBAR, but also the Hedera NFT economy.
All right, sounds good. And with that, we'll go ahead and get into some DeFi. As was hinted, Stater Liquid Staking has increased their yield to over 5%. Looking at DeFi Llama, the total value locked in the Hedera DeFi ecosystem, not including Stater Liquid Staking, is just over $100 million. Saucer Swap dominates with 96 million of that, HSuite is in second place at 4.7 million, and HellaSwap in third at 2.3 million. Moving over to the HBAR and crypto markets, Bitcoin is down 2.5% on the week and 1.8% on the day to just over $60,000. HBAR is down 3.8% on the day and 6.5% on the week to 10.6 cents, which is in line with the dip we've seen in most of the alt space. Now, we may be sitting on a weak area of support right now, and if we continue down, I want to see what we do with 10 cents. If we head north, I think 12 cents and 14 cents will be our key levels to keep an eye on. All right, Zep, that's all we have. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on?
Well, I mean, I think it's, reiterating what we said at the start, really, that Hedera is not only shoulder to shoulder with the competition on leading narratives, but in some places actually at the front of it. When we look at real world assets, I think what's going on with Arcax, the first FCA regulated digital asset exchange, what they've done with tokenizing a portion of the BlackRock MMF, what they've done with Aberdeen, and knowing that there's pipelines to come, I think we really are at the forefront of real world assets. But this week, we also reiterated that we are part of that deep in narrative, that Hedera is best in class for facilitating something like that, both through the token service and the consensus service, and just knowing that we really can play a part in what are the most popular narratives at the moment. When you combine that with what is emerging DeFi economy on Hedera, it's getting more excited. We've seen Stader come out with their new support, but also that Axelar Interoperability solution. I really think that this is sort of a turning of the tides for Hedera in terms of recognition. To get that recognition, we don't just need headlines, but we also need ways of people coming in and out of our ecosystem with renewed liquidity. And for me, this is the real start of that, not only for DeFi, but for centralized finance as well. And I really, really hope that this is a shift in momentum for this economy on Hedera.
And Zeb, speaking of Axelar, I'm going to try to get a space together there. We also have somebody that's working in the whiskey industry, in the spirits industry, that is leveraging Hedera. So I'm going to get an interview with that team. We're also going to get James from Neuron to talk a little bit more about DePIN and give us an update on exactly what they're doing. We also had a really big council member meeting in person in New York City, and Rob should be back next week. He, of course, was attending that as a governing council representative, and he should be able to give us the inside track on the stuff that was discussed there. That's pretty much all we have. I do suggest you go check out, I put on YouTube the conversation I had with that Cardano influencer around some of the controversy around that BlackRock fund tokenization. That's all we have. We'll see you next week.